Warning, this video contains voiceovers by Douglas MacArthur Taylor III and videos too. Hello, I'm Douglas Taylor and I'm going to be talking to you about Rose's Fine Food from Scratch Diner. The asking price for Rose's Diner is about $10,000. That is the goal for how much money they're trying to get. Okay, who will be impacted? The people who will be impacted from Rose's Diner opening up is simply the citizens of Detroit. As stated on their Kickstarter, they want to be a part of the solution to help Detroit get out of its series of downfalls right now. They want to make Detroit become a better place, and they hope that their business can help do that. So the people who will be impacted by the diner successfully opening up is the citizens of Detroit. The restaurant is already receiving positive feedback from the community. As you can see here, one of the owners, Miss Molly Mitchell, is taking a picture with two volunteers. Rose's From Scratch Diner attracts people who prefer the old vintage restaurants to the new modern ones that we see today. Another thing that gives Rose's From Scratch Diner such a old school feel is the fact that they make the breads, pies, and other pastries actually inside of the restaurant in a wooden stove. Here's a picture of an old wooden stove they would use in these old restaurants. How is Rose Diner going to change your life? Rose's Diner will change life in Detroit by, number one, I feel like Rose's Diner will become a symbol that the people of Detroit can rally behind actually, because so many people are involved in the building of this restaurant. Not even just the head people who own it, but just the community is volunteering out of their own free time just to help build this restaurant. So I feel that Rose's Restaurant will become a symbol that the people of Detroit can just rally behind, and it would almost be like a symbol of just a community bond between all the people of Detroit, since everyone's done such a great part to help and support the diner itself. And Rose's Diner will also change life in Detroit because hopefully it will become an economic success. It will be a successful business, and that would help life in Detroit because right now they filed for bankruptcy. So any business that's turning a profit would be very good for the state of Detroit. So I think those are the most important ways that Rose's Diner will change life in Detroit. Are there any risks? Now, overall, Rose's Diner is a great idea, and I think that once it gets off the ground, it'll be very successful. But there are some risks that even the heads of the business have acknowledged. Number one, Rose's Diner is on the east side of Detroit, and since Detroit is seeing some very troubled times right now, the owners have recognized and acknowledged that their place of business, the area that they're in, while it is it's very nice, I suppose, because they're receiving support from the community, it's also not the safest area. And because of this, they've had to hire off-duty police, and they've had to install an alarm system for safety. So that would be the only risk I would imagine that people would consider when deciding if they want to invest in Rose's Diner, is that the position it's in, it's a very urban area, so there's some chance of crime around, because there's crimes around the area that Rose's Diner is in. So that's the only risk, is just burglary or something like that. But still, overall though, because of like the signs of how much love it's getting in the community, the likelihood of it getting robbed or burglarized is very low. But that's the only risk that I could associate with Rose's Diner. I would recommend anyone I meet to fund Rose's Diner because the two key people in it, Miss Lucy Carnegie and her cousin Molly Mitchell, they seem very dedicated to what they're doing. They seem like they like making food. They have experience in it because Miss Molly Mitchell has already made a diner prior to this, so that lets you know that they have experience in this specific business. It's hard to give an exact number of how long they've been around because it's not stated on their Facebook or the Kickstarter, but it seems like they have years of experience because they started with the whole restaurant business since they were children. What drew me specifically to this project is just the sincerity of the people involved in it and how much of a positive effect it has on the community. Like the people of the community are voluntarily offering to help set up this business, and that's very impressive to me because you don't see that a lot. And it just seems like the whole idea of the diner is really to become a community thing instead of a personal thing. Like the people who own this diner want the people of the community to really feel like they're a part of making this business happen. And that draws me into it because that's very different, and I like that. I would advise anyone to invest in Rosa's Diner. It seems like it's going to be a very good and safe investment. There's few risks, but risks come with everything. But overall, there's so many positives. You couldn't pass up this opportunity to invest in it. Seems like a very good idea, and that I hope it turns out well. I'm not really too sure how it would. I think it will actually. I do. I think it will change my life because it'll help me actually believe that people are willing to help other people without expecting anything in return. Just like the people of Detroit's community are willing to help these two cousins just because they feel like they're doing something positive.